Welcome to the DTC Insider Podcast, where online business owners come to find actionable tips and tactics to grow their businesses. Now, here's your host, Brian Roisenthal.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the DTC Insider Podcast. I'm Brian Roisenthal, your host, and today I'm going to interview Jolene. She's the founder of Beverly Hills Lingerie. She started the business when she was 18 only and immediately landed in top 3 of Shopify stores that launched in the same period. How cool is that? Hey, Jolene, thanks for being on the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to get to chat with you.
Yes, me too. So why don't you start by telling the audience more about you and your story?
Sure. I'm born and raised in Beverly Hills, California, and I went to USC as a pre-med major, quickly realized that it wasn't for me. And at the same time of me realizing it wasn't for me, my sister had an idea to start a business together. She knew right off the bat, she didn't have to go through multiple majors to figure out what was meant for her. She knew right off the bat that she wanted to be her own boss and be an entrepreneur. And it just worked perfectly at the timing for me to start a brand with her. So we started Beverly Hills Lingerie as an ode to our heritage of Beverly Hills. And at the same time, at USC as a freshman, I noticed girls trying to wear their old lingerie as streetwear, as outerwear. It was the time of experimenting, but maybe only the bold and confident girls really knew how to style lingerie. And we just saw a huge gap in the market for streetwear lingerie and a lingerie brand that directly catered to girls who wanted to experiment with lingerie as outerwear. So we went out and set a mission to close that gap and close the white space in that industry.
That's great. So I'm curious, I gotta ask you, how did you land in the top 3 of Shopify stores that launched in the same period? Because with only 18 years old, I don't even remember what I was thinking at that age, right? And you were launching a business and not only launching it, but, you know, um, landing it in the top 3% of those stores. So why do you think that happened? What led you to that point?
Thank you. Good question. I think we were very lucky to have a good community around us, a lot of offline marketing in the sense of supporters of friends and family, community. We were still in school, so we had a huge community at USC. And I think the traffic to our website when we first launched and shared with our friends, texted it, posted it on our personal Instagrams or on LinkedIn and wherever else we could share it, class forums, class pages, things like that. All that traffic in just a few days or a few weeks really put us in the top 3% of Shopify stores that launched in the same time period. Also, the idea that we really had good community, that just that it just really helped us launch and set a good foot forward and for Shopify.
And did you just told them about the company? Did you give away products? How did you get them engaged and visit the website and buy?
Good question. I don't think it was anything actually too substantial in the sense of giving away products or giving away offers. Of course, there were special discounts and offers, but any new customer, new client receives the same offer. I think the excitement we built and how excited we were and how confident we were in our brand. And of course, you hear this a lot, and it could be in the sense of a customer or an investor, but you invest in the founders. And when you see the founders so excited to share their brand, believing in the brand, so confident in what they built and what they're selling, you can't help but catch on and you can't help but want to support.
Okay. And you said, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you started this with your sister, right?
Yes, my sister, she's 5 years older. She had also graduated USC and she majored in communications and entrepreneurship. And she, at the same time as me still being an undergrad and having classes to take and being so busy with school itself, being a freshman to sophomore in college is definitely a busy time. With all of that, she actually had 500 students of her own as a TA for a professor in the MBA program and an entrepreneurship program, which all sounds like a lot and very, very busy. And it seems like you have no time to launch a business or work on your business at the same time. But it was a blessing in that we had, so much support, so much community to share this to, so many students around us. And USC is also a school in which community is so important and they love to support each other. And it's a very, the idea of USC is like the well-rounded student. So they get really excited when people are doing other things other than school or doing things that are maybe controversial, like starting a lingerie brand. Yeah.
And what was it like to work with her? I mean, I know for many people it's not easy to work with
Sorry
their
about that.
siblings. No worries. I was asking, what is it like to work with your sister? I know many stories that sometimes it's challenging for people to work with their relatives, and sometimes it's the best. So which one is it for you?
Right. We've heard so many horror stories, and we did all throughout growing up of siblings not being able to figure it out years into business or starting the business and just causing lots of unnecessary fights and not getting along. And our parents were very adamant on sharing these stories with us, so we know what not to do and what shouldn't happen to us, and how sisterhood is the most important thing. Because if you know that your sisterhood is the most important thing and is the priority, then you can be a better business partner in that sense. If you think business is the top priority, your business isn't going to do well because your relationship needs to be strong in order to have a successful business. So when we decided to work together, we had very specific ground rules, and we built the foundation that our sisterhood is the most important, and whatever happens with the business happens, and that we're not going to lose sight of our relationship. And having such a strong personal relationship leads to a strong business relationship. It's not the other way around. And I think people get lost in that and may think that it is the other way around, and they need to start with a strong business relationship and then they'll slowly move into personal relationship. But just having the same values and the same morals on how to have a good working relationship can really guide you through that. Working together, we really found our complementary strengths and weaknesses while working together. We figured those out slowly, and we figured out we are such complements to each other, and that we can fill in for each other's strengths and weaknesses, and it's just worked really well.
Awesome. Talking about ground rules, I have discussed with some well-known business owner they are in the men's beauty space, and they applied a system called EOS. I don't know if you are familiar with it. I think it comes from the
No,
book
I haven't heard that.
Traction. Yeah, there's a book called Traction by Gino Wickman. I totally recommend you read that. It's like the entrepreneurial operative system, right? There are many of them. This is one widely used in the space, and it basically sets like strong foundations for, and let's say not only strong but specific frameworks that you need to implement as an owner, and for you and for the rest of your team, including your partner and every team member, to actually have a clear idea on who should be in each of the seats of your company,
Definitely.
what's right, etc. So it's a great book. I always recommend reading. And this guy actually, I'm not saying it for this reason, but this guy actually in the interview told one of these horror stories you were referring to earlier in the conversation,
Mhm.
and he ended up firing his brother, right?
Wow,
And
yes, I've heard of this
yeah,
so
yeah,
much. We knew all these stories, and it just gave us more information and tools to move forward
yeah,
better.
yeah. But I wasn't bringing it up for that reason anyway. I was saying that it gives you, some formal operative system for knowing not only for your sister but for the rest of the team members what each of them should be doing, who is to help you evaluate who is ideal for each role, etc. Besides, sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. But anyways, You said you leveraged the community, and that's great to start the business, and that helped you land in the top three of Shopify stores that launched in the same period as you. But how do you took it from there, from the campus, from your community? How do you expand the business um, uh, later on, let's say?
Right, good question. We started with a pop-up on Rodeo Drive, which was very personal because we grew up in Beverly Hills, so what better? And it drove so much foot traffic. Again, our community came to support. And moving forward, we did a lot of partnerships and collaborations in the first year with NARS Makeup Boutique. We had a little holiday party with them. With Bash, the French brand, we had a Valentine's Day party with them. We did tens of or 20s, of collaborations and partnerships like that I think really pushed us into new communities, new categories of branding and of theme. What was the question? What else did we do moving forward? We
Yeah, no,
worked with
no.
influencers.
I was asking about I mean, how did you grow the business after you leveraged the community? I mean, that's a great way to get started. But then after you did that, did you use any other customer acquisition
Yes, yes,
strategies?
definitely. Definitely. In addition to some like unconventional collaborations, like we did a dating app collaboration and we put ourselves everywhere we could, got our name out there everywhere we could, whether it was flyers and promos and panties or samples and tons of gift bags across tons of women conferences or women's events. We worked with a lot of influencers, YouTube and Instagram influencers and TikTok influencers over the past few years. We did a lot of paid ads on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Yahoo, Google. What else have we done? I know I'm going through it really quickly. I'm just trying to think of all of the marketing ideas, unconventional collaborations, like a candle collaboration with a local candle company, which brings us to a new audience and puts us in a new category. Just getting our name in the door of a lot of unconventional places, I believe, was really, really important, really like the big special point of our brand that got us to where we are.
Great. I mean, you're in the end trying to leverage existing communities where your target audience hang out, right? And try to get them to know your brand. So in the end, that's something that, as you said, besides doing paid ads and all this stuff, many brands forget about the basics, which is
Totally.
being where your audience is.
Exactly. Or just expanding your audience to places you don't think, they're a bit unconventional, that you might not think they're there right off the bat, but they could be there. And customers love to discover new things in different ways too. And it brings them kind of a unique idea and an opportunity to share and be a customer or client of a brand that they weren't searching for in the moment, but while looking at candles, they come across, for example.
Yes. And what about retention marketing? Do you do any specific retention strategies? Or
We do in our packages, in our shipping mailers. There's a promo code specific for repeat customers. If they want to come back, they get another 20% off, because just new customers get 15% off, but you don't think you get anything afterwards. But we do offer that promo code. We have very good email marketing for even just abandoned checkouts, but to reach the repeat customers and give them exclusive offers and promos in their email. We also like to connect on Instagram with customers. If they share their piece on Instagram, we'll message them and offer them exclusive promos through DM. And we like to create that community of loyal customers.
awesome. What about TikTok? Are you present on that platform?
We were banned at first because of the word lingerie being connected to our Instagram account. It was regardless of it being in the TikTok username. It was just that we linked to our Instagram account, and we were shadow banned a bit as well, just once we even got to post videos on TikTok. I do love TikTok. I think it's such a good platform for shopping and discovering new brands and products. And hopefully we can not be as shadow banned on there and be able to reach customers there more. I'm not so upset over that fact, because I'm not sure that our customers base is very young. You know, TikTok has a very young audience, so I don't feel like we're missing out too much by not being able to really create a good following and loyal following there. But of course, we have to use all avenues. We have to use all social channels.
Have you thought about building an online community? I mean, since you first leveraged your, let's say, offline community, so to speak, um, have you ever thought about it? Facebook group, email list, that you treat as a community, etc.
Good question. We do have an awesome email list. I think that's always been in our mind to create some sort of Facebook group or PR group for our customers so they feel really like influencers of the brand or ambassadors of the brand. I think we're waiting to grow the audience and customer list more so we get a better sense of who the customer is. I know after 5 years you do have almost a good sense, but I think we're still learning because sometimes we get surprised around the holidays when we see a lot of male names, for example, a lot of men are shopping, and then, you know, some other times of the year it's a lot of women shopping, or the channels are always the conversion, of course, that we see, the channels are all over the place. So I think we're still learning and building the ideal customer for Beverly Hills Lingerie before we can create that kind of community, just to make sure that when we do, it's perfectly tailored and catered to exactly the customer that we have in mind.
Makes sense. Two comments I have about that in case it helps you and everyone listening or watching. Um, One, have you implemented any post-purchase survey to know more about your customer base?
That's a great question. I mean, a great idea, great point. I think I'll take that to my notes after our podcast recording.
Yeah, I mean, I have actually, I mean, you don't need to necessarily use this one, but I have interviewed the founder of Kno Commerce, KNO Commerce. Is one of the, I think, one of the most used post-purchase survey that integrates in the post-purchase page on Shopify. And it's great because it gives you a lot of stats, the recommended questions to ask, to learn more about, because you get the answer to what you ask for, right? And sometimes it's not as easy as it seems to ask the right questions to get the answers that you truly want. So they give you assessment on that as well. And it's great to get more soft data, let's say,
Right.
and not only what they buy and how much they spend, but also who they are, if they buy for themselves for a gift or anything like that, and how they heard about you, since you do a lot of offline efforts or efforts that are not 100% trackable, let's say PR, etc. That's great for tracking that as well, at least to know, to have a better sense on that. And the second one, I recently interviewed Brock Mamoser, who is the founder of Frostbody. He's built, I don't know, in another 3 years, 30 million plus company or something like that. And he
Okay.
actually created his Facebook community 1 year ago. And he currently has more than 25,000 members and adding 3,000 every month. And the way he told me and the audience he did it was by leveraging his existing email list, encouraging them to do that in exchange of, I don't know, discounts and all kind of prices. But mainly, that's how he did it. He first grew his email and SMS list, and then he used all
Nice.
that power to create the community in a hassle-free way. Let's say you don't need to start from zero. You can have your best customers, those who love the brand, be there as well. And he moderated it at first, and then of course now he has moderators who are actually customers that volunteer
Right.
to do that. So it's a great story, and I invite you and everyone listening to listen that to that episode, because it's very actionable, and I think it would be great because
Thank
since you
you.
say that many people love your brand, and I'm sure they do, they'll be more than happy to belong to this community online.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Very good point. I'll take a look.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. So talking about, the what every D2C brand needs to be successful nowadays, it's a kind of a strange past few years, right? We have had many things going on in the world, in the US, in the economic
Mhm.
aspect. It was a roller coaster for many brands, many ups and downs, and everyone is, watching their numbers, their costs, profitability, etc. So I know it's a tough question, but what do you think D2C brands need nowadays to be successful and have a great rest of the year and great start of the next one?
Great question. I know this is so vague and it seems kind of crazy, but I always say a brand needs everything because customers need everything in order to make a purchase. And customers need to feel familiar with the brand, they need to love the brand, and they need to feel emotionally moved by the brand in order to become a customer. And by everything, that means familiarity. It's like a lot of ads, like running a lot of ads, showing them 3 to 5 times, and that can, create a customer. It's product as well, of course, and it's also the benefits that the product will give you. The product and service industry aren't too far off because I always think that products act as services. What our lingerie is doing, for example, to customers is making them feel good. It should make them feel confident. It's selling the emotion, it's selling the feeling, it's kind of selling the service of the product. So there are a lot of elements that go into acquiring a customer. And I think that having them all, or at least touching upon them all, can really help customer acquisition, rather than focusing on just one thing. For example, like you can have the best product, but if no one can find it, or if no one really cares why they should have it, you're not really getting a customer. So touching upon all of the points that I just said, I think can lead to a purchase.
Great answer. And more specifically now about Black Friday, do you think that where do you think brands should be focusing on for this time of the year? Do you think it's, for example, I don't know, new customers, existing customers, promoting their best products or the surplus of previous collections? What do you think about that?
I would say all of them across the board again, but if I had to choose, then I would say repeat customers will always be loyal. They've loved your brand once, so it's easier to get them to love it again. In that sense, then probably your best selling item, putting it at a discount if it's the priciest item as well. For us, I know our priciest item is also our best seller, and some repeat customers may have not bought that item at first, but bought a less expensive item and have been eyeing the more expensive bestseller for months now, and they're kind of waiting for it to go on sale. They're waiting for Black Friday. I know I do that personally as a customer, and I know I keep my eye on something, or I have the tab open on my computer or my phone of my favorite item, and I'm just waiting for it to go on sale. But in the meantime, I'll buy something in the lower price category of that brand. So definitely repeat customers are where the focus can be for Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Amazing. So I think those are all the questions I have for you. I wanted to thank you for being here, but before you go, I wanted to ask you one more. For everyone listening that has been a listener for a few months or years now, they know that we put together a list of books mentioned here in the show every year by the end of the year. So if you have a book that you love, that you would like to recommend the audience, I'll be more than happy to add it to the list of the books mentioned in 2023. Do you have any by any chance?
I do, and it's coincidentally by a family friend. His name is Milan Kordestani, and he's the author of I'm Just Saying. It's a guide to maintaining civil discourse in an increasingly divided world. And I loved it because I could relate to it and find it relevant in every aspect of my life, whether it's in my marriage or in my sisterhood with my business or with our community or with my family or with my in-laws, whatever it was. It's just a guide to civil discourse and to have good, meaningful conversations that are civil. So that is an awesome read, and I think everyone can find a relationship in their life to relate to it. And I think you can find it at Barnes and Noble.
Right. Awesome. I love it because nobody has mentioned the book. Many times we get a lot of repeat,
Oh, interesting.
so it's a new one. So I love it. Thank you for
I wonder if you've gotten this one, The Startup of You. by Ray Dalio. I loved that. It was a class assignment for me in college, actually, and it was something that I really loved.
What's the name? The startup?
The Startup of You.
Okay.
I believe it's by Ray Dalio,
Okay.
which I'm
Uh,
sure you know.
yeah, but I haven't read that book either, and it's not in the list. So I appreciate that. I read one that it's called The Lean Startup by Eric Rice, but it was like around
Okay.
11. It's
Oh,
an
sorry. This is not by Ray Dalio. It's Reid Hoffman.
okay. Read Hoffman.
Yes, it's awesome. That's a good one that I wondered if you got a lot because it's a popular read amongst entrepreneurs.
Okay, awesome. I will take a look. So, is there anything I didn't ask you that you would like to tell the audience?
I believe we touched upon a lot of good points, and I hope that the audience finds use and enjoyment and benefits from our chat. So
Yes, I'm sure they
that was
did. At
awesome.
least I did. So, again, I wanted to thank you for being here. And before you go, where can people go to learn more about you and your company?
They can find us on Instagram at Beverly Hills Lingerie, our website, www.beverlyhillslingerie.com, and read more about our sister story there, and on TikTok and Twitter at ShopBHL.
Awesome. Again, Jolene, thanks for being here in the show. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Brian. It was so nice to chat with you.
This episode was brought to you by BSR Digital. We help DTC brands grow through paid ads and email marketing campaigns. If you'd like us to help your business grow, head on over to bsrdigital.com and schedule a call with us.